Can you tell us about Scott Boothers? Why was he the number one candidate?
Yeah, well, I guess his experience somewhat speaks for itself. Having been involved as an assistant coach at AFL level for now over 10 years, West Coast, Collingwood, Hawthorn, really strong football programs. He was known to the club, and we went after Scott's services, and we're very fortunate that he's coming on board. So we're really excited about that.
When did the conversation with Scott start?
In the last few weeks, we've been chatting with Scott. He was working through making some decisions around whether he wanted to return to SA and had a season to finish up with Hawthorn. So it's been over recent weeks that those conversations have been happening.
Was Nixie the driver of who to target in that circumstance, and will he be with the rest of his assistants?
We made those decisions together. We've cast the net fairly wide as far as those who we wanted to speak to about our assistant coaches' roles, and there was certain criteria that we were looking for, and certainly coaches with vast experience and those that have had experience in developing players. They were primarily the sort of type of candidates that we were looking for.
Do you have to wait for finals to finish to announce the next assistant coaches?
Yeah, we haven't formally or finished our recruitment processes with respect to the assistants. We've got a degree of confidence that our panel will come together, and we'll be waiting to the end of the final series.
At what point in the season did you decide that the coaching structure needed that change?
Yeah, look, I guess you're always assessing everything you're doing in the football department. Fair to say that the way in which we started the season and with 13 consecutive losses, there was a point in time where we were looking to get better, and we're looking and talking with coaches around the competition. So our start to the season certainly meant that we needed to get involved in that process a lot earlier.
Have you settled on how the sort of layout of your panel is next year? Does it have a Nix, Burns, three-line coaches? Do you know what you're doing yet?
Not fully settled on the structure. Certainly at the top with the head coach, and there'll be three assistant coaches, with Scott being a senior assistant, but also looking after our defenders. So we'll have a midfield and forward coach, and then the balance of our structure is yet to be worked out. Soft cap implications on that, and looking at our development coaches and how we structure that up. So
you're expecting to lose a few in that space though, with soft cap coming down, we assume?
Yeah, we're still trying to work out exactly what we can fit in with our development coaches. And that's a process we'll have to continue to work through.
Do you investigate a hybrid role for maybe some of the older players in that case with the soft cap?
Yeah, I think senior players become critically important with reduced coaching resources available to clubs. What we have our senior players do is going to be important, as it has been this year, and a number of our senior players have really stepped up in that regard, and we'll be looking for our players to do the same next year.
Is Neil Baum on your radar at all as a overarching figure?
Yeah, look, we're not going to talk about any particular individuals that we may or may not be speaking with out of respect for them and the confidentiality involved in any recruitment process.
What about as a position then? Can you talk to the position, whether something like a director of coaching would appeal to you?
Yeah, what we've got when we're in trying to set up our structure for next year, we're looking for capability that we can bring into the organisation right across our footy department. With every decision we make about people we bring in, it has a flow-on effect because the soft cap is so heavily constrained next year. So we're not necessarily going out there specifically about roles. A lot of it is about bringing in the people who we know will make us better. So the roles themselves will be obviously an important part of that, but we're looking for capability and experience in the first instance.
Are you prepared to go beyond the soft cap and pay the tax, given the inexperience you've had previously? Is that a factor at all?
Yeah, look, it's not something we're planning on doing. There's obviously pretty heavy implications from a taxing point of view if you go in excess of the soft cap, so it's not something we're planning on doing.
3 players were cut yesterday. Do you anticipate there'll be more once this size is finalised?
Yeah, there will be. And yes, that's the critical point. We've got to wait for those list sizes to be finalised before we can make final decisions. But on top of the 3 who were informed yesterday, we've had Bryce Gibbs retire and Rory Atkins notify us that he'll be moving to another club. So we'll let that play out a little bit as well through the trade period and just see what sort of movement there is there.
Is the
boys
club
sort of-
comfortable with where Brad Crouch is at the moment?
Look, we've been pretty open with Brad and he with us. As is his right under free agency, they'll go out and explore opportunities or any deals that might be available to them at other clubs, and we understand that. And then, as he's a restricted free agent, I guess we get the right to match any bid that comes his way. We've been pretty open with that and continue to have those conversations.
So you won't have any impact or involvement in that until he's presented with an offer, and then that would be then presented to you, and you decide whether to match. That's how that's going to move forward. I
think that's how we'll move forward. We'll wait and see what the market sort of dictates as far as his services and the value there, and then we'll sit down and we'll have a chat about that.
Brad said numerous times throughout the whole thing that he loves Adelaide. We'd be happy to stay here, but just the length of the deal is probably the sticking point. Well, what is I suppose from the Crows' point of view, why wouldn't you put 4 or 5 in front of Brad? How's that work for you?
Yeah, look, we had an offer in front of Brad, right on the eve of the season commencing, and then COVID hit and all negotiations stalled, and at that point in time, Brad and his management have made a decision to go and see what the market is dictating, and that also allows us to be in a position to understand that as well. So we'll let Brad and his manager do that, and then that gives us more information so we can make a better decision.
So it's too simplistic to say the Crows don't want to offer Brad Crouch a long-term deal?
Yeah, I think that's too simplistic. We'll just wait and see what the market says, and with every negotiation, we're all, both parties need to be agreeable. So what we're prepared to offer at the early part in the year and what Brad wanted, there was a difference there, so we couldn't get a deal done at that point in time. We'll just wait and see what happens.
Have any other players informed you that they want to test the free agency market, or even contracted players that they might want to see what they can get from any other clubs and from any other clubs?
No.
We've just gone back to Brad. Sorry, does the capacity exist there to sort of do a sign and trade if the free agency offer would be sort of your end of first round? Would you explore trading him to get, say, a pick around the 10? Yeah, if the compensation wasn't satisfying enough to you, would you trade him?
Yeah, well, there's those opportunities. Yeah, and we need to look at that. We've got to do what's in the club's best interest, and Brad's going to do what is in his best interest. And certainly with the free agency model and compensation and whether you sign and trade, we'll just make decisions that are in the best interest of the club.
And yet you won't delist any other players until the list sizes are confirmed, or has there been other players that have been told?
No, we're going to wait for confirmation of list sizes.
Do you have an idea of the number at all? 42, was it?
Look,
one man to do it?
You've probably heard as many variations on list size as what we have, and they range anywhere between 38 and 42, and then composition varies as well between the primary list and rookie list.
Do you know what you're going to get for Rory Atkins at all?
No, we find that out, and it won't be until a contract is lodged that we'll find out what the compensation would be.
How's the club view how the rebuild's going at the moment at this stage? Are you ahead of where you thought you might be? Are you on track?
Yeah, I think we go into the off season with a lot of optimism. There's no mistaking that finishing 18th can be considered anything other than a failed season, and but within that, what we can take some gratification out of is the way our players responded. So backs against the wall, you're 0-13. There's a lot of attention on the way in which the group were performing, and it's not typical for a group to be able to respond the way that we did late in the season, and very competitive in our last 5 games, winning 3 of them. So we take some optimism into the off season, and some of our players have really stepped up late in the year. We took a lot of joy out of.
Obviously, there's been some big decisions that have been made by the club in terms of moving players on, letting them go. Are there any? Looking back in hindsight, it's always great. Is there any ones you think, hang on, we might have got that wrong, or we might, looking at it, it might have gone a different. Yeah, we've been better if it went a different way.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be any club who'd say they get every list management decision right in hindsight. So we don't look back and regret anything that's happened. We're fully focused on what we're going to be doing into the future.
When do the players like Hardigan and David McKay, for example, find out what their future in the club is?
Yeah, look, we'd love list sizes to be confirmed sooner rather than later because, having gone through most of the player exits now over the last few days, the one thing they're seeking is certainty. And we're conscious of that, and we want to be able to give our players as much certainty as we can. So as soon as the list sizes are confirmed, we can narrow in on some of those conversations about next year.
I know DMAC in particular, Nixie said just last week that he'd probably done enough to earn another contract. Does that sort of make it difficult for him when he sort of comes into his exit meetings and there isn't the contract on the table and you can't give it to him just yet?
It makes it difficult for him. It makes it difficult for us. He's had a great year. DMAC, and so has Hardo. They've had great seasons. They've been great servants. It's not only what they do on the field as well. They're great people to have around our footy club. And when we spoke a little bit earlier about those older players and how important they are to our development, we're cognizant of that. And let's await the list sizes, and we'll keep working with them and their management.
Given there's no real date on when pre-season starts at this stage, what kind of lessons do you take from how the club handled lockdown into this kind of unknown period where players they don't really know when the resumption date is?
Yeah, well, one of the things that the players have really been focusing on is how they're going to stay connected through this period and work with each other. And that's been a part of the exits. There's a lot of discussions about that and where players are looking to go. And given what's happened in Victoria and the number of players that we do have that were Victorian originated, a number of them are choosing to stay in South Australia for at least a period of their off season so that they can stay connected to the rest of the group and train through that period.
Kels, with the rest of your footy department staff sort of stay together, like your medicos and Steve Saunders, all that sort of, or do you have to make a call on them as well?
Yeah, we're looking at every area of our footy department. The unfortunate thing about the soft cap impacts is it's not just having an impact on coaching, it's having an impact right across the board. We're still yet to finalise our structure, and there's a lot of people that are uncertain about their futures, and we really feel for them at the moment.
Will Daniel Talia be at the Pros in 2021?
He was contracted, yep, so can't see any reason why not.